Tonight on 19 Investigates, a police officer fired and now facing charges. We'll give you an exclusive look at the shocking video that led to the end of his 18-year career. Millions of children are living in counties without a pediatrician. Tonight, we investigate the effects of living miles from the care your child may need. Plus, new consumer laws taking effect in several states this year. We'll share the changes that could impact you, even if you don't live there.
It's still hard every day, every day.
An Ohio family fighting for answers in a decades-old murder. Who killed 17-year-old Robin Stone? Now, in bringing more awareness to her case, Robin's loved ones are trying to help other families too. Thanks for joining us. I'm Brian Duffy. According to the Ohio Attorney General's office, there are thousands of unsolved murders across the state. Tonight, we're shining a light on one of those cases and sharing how the victim's family is working to help clear the backlog of unsolved killings. Investigator Sarah Goldenberg found they have a simple idea that could go a long way, and state lawmakers are listening.
17-year-old Robin Stone loved unicorns, watching MTV, and dancing. On August 27, 1991, she went home after her first day of school in Cambridge, about 80 miles east of Columbus. Then got a call and told her family she was going to visit a friend. It was the last time they ever saw her. 4 agonizing months later in December, the Guernsey County Sheriff's Office broke the news to them. Robin's remains had been found near Luberg Lake, not far from Cambridge. Robin had been murdered. She was 7 months pregnant at the time.
It's rough. It's a rough way to go for any parent to lose a child.
I spoke with Robin's mom, Judy Stevens, and her younger sister, Jamie Edwards, on what would have been Robin's 52nd birthday.
You try to remember the good times, but then it's kind of rough when they're not there with you.
As a 10-year-old child at the time, Jamie lived in fear, wondering if Robin's killer would come after her and the rest of her family next.
We just want justice for her and her baby. We want to go to court one day and the person be held accountable.
Decades passed and Robin's case remains unsolved. Her family says they haven't heard an update from the sheriff's office since 2014, when a national TV show profiled her case.
No, we're on the back burner. That's where I think we're at, and that's where we've been.
Jamie knows they're not the only grieving families out there needing more attention. She started this petition, which now has more than 600 signatures, calling for new state legislation to mandate every law enforcement agency in Ohio list unsolved cases, from homicides to missing persons cases, on their website, keeping them up to date and including basic case details and contact information to send tips to police. Jamie believes this would shift the burden off of families.
It'd be nice to get a lot of them solved. And if they're not bringing awareness to them, then a lot of people think that these cases are already solved, so nobody's going to come forward.
The Ohio Attorney General already lists nearly 2,800 unsolved homicides statewide and hundreds of missing children and adults online. Here in Northeast Ohio, 19 Investigates found a few agencies, out of more than a dozen we checked, list their unsolved cases on their websites. Cleveland Police and Akron Police list missing persons cases. Lorain Police list missing persons and unsolved homicides. And Oberlin Police list cold cases. Jamie reached out to State Representative Adam Holmes, who represents her district. He gives her credit for trying to keep these unsolved cases alive through her petition.
More transparency in our government is always a good idea. I think as legislators, we should be supporting that.
But, he says, it's important to strike the right balance.
At the same time, we have to make sure we don't impact people's privacy and their request for that, or inadvertently obstruct law enforcement's actions on it. And again, if we do it in a cooperative way with law enforcement, they might help us write it.
He says hope may be the greatest gift they can give families of the missing and murdered.
And this is just one more thing we can do. It demonstrates that we care about each other. We need more of that now than ever before.
Jamie says the goal of this petition is to solve more cases like Robin's. We reached out to State Representative Christine Cockley, who's already working on other state bills involving missing persons cases. And since then, we learned she's working with State Representative Adam Holmes on possible bipartisan legislation to address this petition. We'll keep you posted on what happens next. Sarah Goldenberg, 19 News.
We have a link to Jamie's petition on the 19 News mobile app. The Guernsey County Sheriff's Office tells us Robin Stone's case is still open and active and, quote, remains high on the priority list for our agency as it always has. They said the release of any more information would jeopardize any progress that has been made in this case. If you know anything about Robin's murder, you can call the Sheriff's Office at 740-439-4455. A violent brawl caught on camera at a local juvenile jail, and we've now learned that workers there were warned about the planned riot more than a week in advance. 7 teens are facing charges after a half-dozen detention officers got hurt. Investigator Mike Mason has exclusive new video of the riot.
Cameras capturing complete chaos on Christmas Day at the Summit County Juvenile Detention Center. The sheriff's office now completing its investigation into how it all happened. What they found is raising questions about security.
Court number, 2 suspects we dealt with and 2 victims.
Okay. 19 Investigates obtained this exclusive video of Deputy Vincent Tersini arriving at the facility shortly after Akron police had already rushed in to secure the scene.
Akron PD came. When these guys saw Akron, they all just immediately laid down on the floor and cuffed up without force.
Detention Center Supervisor Aiden Stokes shows Tersini his injuries.
Is that from one of them?
I was trying to escort him to his room. He slammed the door and it hit me in the forehead.
He then describes what just happened.
I was down here and they called a code and I went up running and it was just
I gotcha.
dumpster fire by the time I got there.
I understand.
When detectives arrive, Stokes tells them how the teens got out of their housing unit.
One of the juveniles were able to get their hands on one of my DO's badges.
Those badges are used to swipe open the doors.
He doesn't know if they found the badge. The badge might still be floating around.
Using these cards, 7 teens take over the facility. For 45 minutes, they go on a rampage, tossing tables, chairs, and whatever they can find. At one point, the teens can be seen pouring soap and water on the floor, taunting the officers while they watch from behind the glass.
It was a straight setup because he said they had soap and water and stuff on the floors. When they came in, they started slipping and sliding and stuff like that.
When officers entered the room, 2 slip and fall to the floor. You can see several teens jumping in, beating and kicking the downed officers. At one point, a 17-year-old breaks this clip off a clipboard and threatens to stab the officers with it. Meanwhile, in the hallway, they have their hands full. Officer Donnell Stoner can be seen holding his side after getting punched and kicked by a 16-year-old.
He's the one with some broken ribs, maybe. He's going to go to the hospital.
Records show he did suffer a fractured rib. A total of 6 detention officers were reportedly assaulted during this incident.
She got assaulted. There's another DO that got sexually assaulted.
Detectives continue questioning Stokes.
You were made aware that this was going to happen today, possibly, or did you guys have any information?
So I figured something, I didn't think it was going to be that extreme.
But when detectives questioned the staff, Officer Stoner stated the inmates had been planning this for over a week, and their intent was to have a brawl to jump on other inmates and staff members. We asked detention center officers if they did anything to prepare for this riot. They said they can't comment on security issues or pending cases. The teen accused of fracturing the officer's rib is now being charged with felonious assault. All 7 face charges ranging from assault and escape to aggravated riot and vandalism. We know at least 2 of them will be tried as adults. Mike Mason, 19 News.
A new analysis from Consumer Affairs breaks down how a 50-year mortgage could change monthly payments and total interest in every state. Crease Jackman looks at what the numbers show and what buyers should consider before taking on a longer loan.
For many families, buying a home feels more out of reach than ever. That's one reason why President Donald Trump and the Federal Housing Finance Agency floated the idea of a 50-year mortgage as a way to spread out costs with a lower monthly payment.
The initial idea of a 50-year mortgage sounds interesting and sounds appealing to people. But when we actually looked into it and compared it across the nation and then across all states, we found that the typical buyer would only be saving about $228, $230 a month.
Dana Edens, Media Relations Manager at Consumer Affairs, says their team estimated the impact of a 50-year mortgage by comparing a traditional 30-year fixed-rate loan with a hypothetical 50-year mortgage at both the national and state levels. Edens says the report found the biggest increases in total interest would show up in high-cost housing markets, where home prices and loan sizes tend to be higher. States like Hawaii, California, Massachusetts, Washington, and Colorado saw the biggest increase.
Places where there's going to be a median home value that's higher, you're going to see that interest being higher, and overall, you're going to be paying a lot more.
The report also identified states where the increase in total interest is smaller, including West Virginia, Mississippi, Oklahoma, Louisiana, and Arkansas.
But these are also states that have lower household incomes overall, which means that even though they may have that smaller increase in the interest, the long-term cost can still put a real strain on families' budgets.
Eden says if you're trying to make homeownership feel more affordable, it's worth looking at ways to limit how much interest you pay over time. She says that can include paying a little extra towards principal when you can.
And if you are buying a home, especially for the first time, compare loan types, get quotes from multiple lenders before you make a final decision. If you're planning to start working on your taxes, there are a few changes this year you need to know about. Consumer investigator Rachel DePompa shares what they are.
If you bought a new car in 2025, listen up. A new federal law will allow some borrowers to deduct the interest they paid on their auto loans if it meets certain criteria. Jerry Dale, the vice president of financial education at Virginia Credit Union, says borrowers must provide the vehicle identification number when filing, and that this is available even if you don't itemize.
Some of the criteria is income, making, if you're a single filer, less than 100. If you are jointly filing, less than $200,000. The car also needs to be assembled in America, and they're also, keep in mind, it's the interest, not the entire payment of that car.
Dale also says it's capped at $10,000. Probably most of us are not paying $10,000 in interest on a car loan, but she says every little bit helps if you qualify for this deduction.
Student loan interest got unpaused in 2025. So if you did have some interest on your student loan for that year, look in to see if that you meet the criteria for that being a tax deduction.
You can go to studentaid.gov at any time to learn more about this and find out if you qualify. And remember, many community organizations and credit unions offer free or low-cost tax help. And as always, if you file early, it protects you from identity theft. With this Watching Your Wallet, I'm Rachel DePompa.
Coming up next on 19 Investigates, a local police officer now off the job, facing charges over what investigators say he did to a woman in handcuffs. We'll show you exclusive body camera footage of what happened. That's next. And if you're living paycheck to paycheck, one surprise can hit hard. Still ahead, smart moves to help you get through uncertainty, from savings goals to a plan for debt. A police officer now out of a job, facing criminal charges after he repeatedly punched a woman while her hands were cuffed behind her back. Here's investigator Mike Mason with the exclusive video.
I gotta have you step out. I'm gonna help you step out, okay?
19 Investigates obtained this video from Brooklyn police. It's from September 4th of last year. Officers arrest a 36-year-old Parma woman on an outstanding warrant for aggravated menacing. We're concealing her identity because police now consider her a victim.
I'll be nice to you, okay? Yeah, I'll be nice to you.
They say she's drunk and belligerent. Brooklyn Police Sergeant Paul Stein and 5 other officers respond to assist. When she doesn't cooperate, they try to restrain her.
We're going in there one way or another. Okay? Here, come on.
Put her in the chair. Put her in the chair.
Even though she's only wearing socks, video shows Stein stepping on her feet with his boots to stop her from potentially kicking him.
Get off my foot now! You're hurting me. Get off my feet.
Despite her pleas, you can see Stein staying planted while pinning her shoulders to the restraint chair. And this is when it happens.
Yep. Here. Good.
Take another look.
Right here. Yep. Good.
Get off my...
The woman spits directly in Stein's face, hitting his beard and left cheek. Suddenly, the sergeant snaps, delivering a series of 5 punches to the woman's jaw.
Put that spit mask on when you finish. Spit on me again.
Get off!
Stein would later say the force he used was reasonable. However, the police chief disagreed. An internal investigation found the punches were excessive and egregious. Stein was fired September 17th. This Wednesday, an independent prosecutor charged Stein with assault. Now, after 18 years of enforcing the law, this former officer is accused of breaking it.
I tried to reach Stein for comment, but haven't heard back. His arraignment is scheduled for next Wednesday in Parma. We'll, of course, stay on top of this story and keep you posted. Mike Mason, 19 News.
One pediatrician, 4,000 children. Some families drive nearly an hour just to see her. This is a reality for many families across our country that right now is experiencing a pediatric care crisis. National investigative reporter Andy Perotti discovered there are hundreds of counties with no board-certified doctors for kids, and it's getting worse.
There's a church right down here we're going to pass.
Markeisha Hawkins takes us on a drive she knows like the back of her hand.
I know everybody over here.
Pointing out every church, farm, and home along the way.
It's going to be on your right-hand side.
A 30-minute route out of town she's taken hundreds of times to care for her children. Her sons, Ethan and Logan, were both born prematurely. Her firstborn weighed just 2 pounds.
It was scary because I got this preemie. And for one, it's not the regular preemie. They're called micro preemies because anything can go wrong at any moment with those kids.
Logan spent weeks in the hospital and suffered serious lung complications. Markeisha knew she needed a pediatrician to care for them long term. They live in Sparta, Georgia, about 2 hours south of Atlanta.
When you were searching, when you typed in pediatrician Sparta, Georgia, what came up?
Nothing.
Not one pediatrician?
No.
Nationally, 43% of counties lack access to a children's doctor, according to data we analyzed from the American Board of Pediatrics. That's nearly 4 million children who live in counties without a single board-certified pediatrician.
Hello, how are we?
Back in Georgia, Dr. Christy Mountain Bonner is the Hawkins family pediatrician who practices in neighboring Washington County. She's the only pediatrician in private practice there, caring for about 4,000 children.
We'll be.
Some families drive nearly an hour to see her.
It scares me because in those other counties, I know there are premature births and premature babies that are needing the care. And sometimes I find in rural communities, there are issues with transportation. There are issues with finances to fund transportation.
A study published by the American Academy of Pediatrics in December reveals a compounding problem. More hospitals are dropping pediatric services altogether, disproportionately affecting rural areas. Dr. Kenneth Michelson authored this study.
What we found was that hospitals have become less capable at taking care of kids over time. More than half of rural units actually closed over a 15-year period, which is just amazing and huge.
And in your opinion, what's the impact on children's health in those communities?
First is that if you're in a community, most likely pediatric hospital care is getting farther away from you. So if your child is really sick and needs to be hospitalized, you are likely to need to travel farther for that. I think the second clear impact is that it makes the overall system more brittle.
I'm gonna listen to your heart.
General practitioners, they're okay for general things. But if you have kids, you want somebody who can see about a kid. Right. They're different. Their bodies are different.
If you retire today and no one replaced you, what would be the impact to this community?
I think it would be great in terms of, because I think you would have a situation where patients are scrambling to find someone to see their child quickly. And I think the scramble would be too large for the other practice to take on.
No pediatricians, no doctor, no urgent care.
After a long road to recovery, Markeisha's sons are now healthy and thriving, and she credits their pediatrician who was there every step of the way.
If you didn't have Dr. Mountain, where do you think your kids would be as far as...
I cannot imagine without Dr. Mountain.
Long sound clear.
Don't even make me think about it. I can't.
Andy Parati, 19 News.
In Ohio, the American Board of Pediatrics reports there are 17 counties with no board-certified pediatrician. That equates to around 19% of our counties without a children's doctor. According to NerdWallet, 39% of Americans do not feel confident in their financial ability to withstand a loss of income in 2026. Rachel DePompa takes a look at the job market and what families can do to be ready, just in case.
The latest data indicates a job market that is not only unfriendly to people who are without jobs and looking for work, but also to people who would otherwise upgrade their current position. This is according to Elizabeth Renter, a senior economist with NerdWallet.
When we look at the data and see a labor market that is welcoming to workers, we see one where hiring rates and quits rates are high because there's a lot of turnover. It's fairly easy for people to find new work, to upgrade their current role to one that's a better match, has better pay, better benefits, but that isn't the case right now.
She says hiring is very lackluster and people are staying in their current jobs because they know the environment is unfriendly. Renter says when people are also worried about losing a job, it points to a lack of household financial resilience, meaning your ability to withstand unexpected job loss or bills. If this is you, she says, focus on your access to emergency savings and credit.
Always look to bolstering your emergency fund in times of uncertainty. So experts recommend you have 3 to 6 months of living expenses set aside. That's a very tall order for most people, right? But start small. Don't be afraid to start small. Set a goal for a couple $100 and then $500 and then up it to $1,000.
She says building a substantial emergency fund can take years, and that's okay as long as you're making progress along the way. She also says pay down high-interest debt, make a plan to get rid of it, and stop putting new expenses on the card you're trying to pay off.
A new year brings new consumer laws in several states, from making it easier to fix the devices you own to cracking down on so-called junk fees to new privacy tools. Consumer investigator Carice Jackman breaks down a few changes and why they could matter even if you don't live in those states.
When Congress stalls, some states move first, testing new ideas that can eventually spread. Emily Rush with the Public Interest Network says that's exactly what we're seeing with a wave of consumer-related laws.
States are known as the laboratories of democracy, so they're often places too that inspire Congress to do something as well.
One example, right to repair. Newer expanded laws in states like Washington, Nevada, Oregon, and Colorado aim to give owners and independent repair shops better access to things like parts, tools, and repair information, so you're not forced into one expensive option.
So right to repair seeks to restore repair access to all of us, so that once you buy something, you truly own it, rather than having the manufacturer still having a say in how you take care of it and what you do with it.
Another change is targeting junk fees.
So you aren't going through a transaction and then you get to the end to actually pay and you're like, wait, what? I thought this, I thought this was going to be $100 and it's actually $130. No more of that. We want to see all those fees up front.
And in California, there's a new privacy tool aimed at data brokers, companies that collect and sell personal information. The state's new delete request and opt-out platform, or DROP, lets residents submit one request through a single site. Rush says even if these specific laws aren't in your state, they can set a pattern and put pressure on other states and even Congress to follow. With this Watching Your Wallet, I'm Carice Jackman.
Other changes include new rules in California that limit which bags stores can offer at checkout, and a new program in Colorado aimed at expanding recycling access. The stories we showed you today are streaming right now on 19 News Plus. You can download the app for free on your Apple TV, Roku, or Amazon Fire TV device. Next week on 19 Investigates, some murder convictions tied to bullets are now being called into question. We investigate the tainted testimony abandoned by the FBI that's been used in hundreds of courtrooms across America. The story coming up next week on 19 Investigates. I'm Brian Duffy. Thanks for watching.